I'll be taking you into a Figma file that I'll be using as a sample design handoff to the dev team. So this is a cover
Perfect.
of the file. So I always like to have a cover for every design file. It shows you the project you're working on. You can also have the timeline and if the project is completed or in progress. So you can also indicate it. It makes work easier for you and the dev team. Always make sure you have your design system or your style guide in place. So it's not going to be, this is not well detailed enough. This is just a sample design handoff. So I'm just going to be showing you the colors, the font. All these are really important. So most time when I come up with my colors, I always like adding the color code. So it helps designers with the color code. Although
Okay.
Figma has this dev team,
So
dev
the dev mode, right?
there's the dev mode that
Okay.
shows you the
So
design.
you like to even just while keeping the color there, you still want to put the code. So it just makes it easier for the developers to they don't
Yes,
need to start
exactly,
inspecting it. Right? Oh, that is super
exactly.
helpful. That is super helpful.
Yes.
That is
So they
super
always see,
helpful.
yes, thank you. So they always see each color code in every color style. So any color to introduce into the Figma file, I will always make sure I put in the color code so they can see the color code.
Okay.
Then your typeface, your font type, always make sure you're adding every typeface you're using. So for every typeface I'm using, even though it's just for mobile, I make sure that everything is included here, both for auto and the one that has line spacing. So we can see there are two variants, auto and the one that has line spacing of 30. So I always make sure to include them also in my typography. Then your
Okay, so when you have like 48 slash auto, your engineers already know that it's just the auto line spacing, and when you have some specific line spacing, then you put that number.
exactly, yes, 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 yes.
I'm not an engineer, right? But like I'm already like excited because like I feel this already reduces that stress. It reduces that stress.
Exactly.
Yes.
The back and forth, you just have to look for a way to minimize all this and be in sync with them. So with this now, they have an understanding of my design system, of my spacing, everything I'm working with.
Yes. You can keep going.
Okay, then your spacing system. So your spacing system is very, very important. So you can show your spacing between different variables, between different elements. So your spacing system is equally important. Now, moving forward, we have the assets. Your iconography is very, very important. So for every icon you are using on a design file, always make sure that the icon is present on the Figma file they are using. So most time they
Separately,
don't.
right? Not
Yeah,
not with the design, just separately where they can copy it
yes, where they
easily
can
from.
copy it and export if they want to. So they can come here
Okay,
and
okay.
export the icon. Do you get?
Yes,
Or they
yes.
can
If I
copy
stop
it.
talking, just keep going. I don't
All
want
right.
to interrupt you too much. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So they can copy the icon. So I have differently. So on the Figma file on my design, they can always come back here because I'm using they're in component file. So when they right click
Okay.
and they come to main components, they can come here, they can trace it from my designs and come here and export it on their own without my help. But not all designers, not all, I'm not sure if all developers can really do that, but you should be able to be available to share all these icons to them. But having them on your Figma file should be an important thing as a designer. Then, okay, so I'm just going to take you to this layout. So I was creating a case study earlier, but because of time.
Okay.
So in your file, you should have a document. So you can also attach a link to your Figma. So let's assume,
Like
okay,
like a Word document link, right?
yes, yes, exactly. I have that. Let me just take you there. So you should always have an
What?
handoff
Mhm.
document. What are you
Okay.
saying something?
Oh, I wanted to ask, like, so what are some of the details you're going to add in that document? Is it the details like the PRD regarding that project, or like do you create just a document for the handoff itself?
Okay, I always like to create a design document handoff different from the PRD. Now you know the PRD really doesn't go into details as the document handoff.
Yes.
So the document handoff usually sometimes I put in most screens here, but because of time I didn't include that, but I
Yeah.
just included
This is
the
just a
layout.
sample. This is just a
Yeah,
sample. Yes, definitely.
exactly. So now you can see on this the project overview, the platform objective, the user flow diagram. That's if there's a user flow diagram. You can use that on Figma or FigJam or any design tool. Your wireframes, your high fidelity designs, they can use this as reference. Your UI component details. You don't necessarily need to bring them to the document. You can just include
The
information
Figma
about,
link.
yes, your Figma link, just information about the components, their reaction, especially the buttons. What happens to them when they are clicked? What happens to them when they are pressed? There's a color change, that over effect. You can include them, your UI component, say that okay, for so button on this screen, when the user selects this is the interaction that happens. Then interaction and behavior to the same thing. So interaction, the over effect. It is an animation, the loading effect. So you always note this down in your documents. That's part of your documentation process. So you start documenting from the beginning of your project, not while in your project or not at the end. If you start documenting at the end, you might leave out some key functionalities or some key features that are in your platform, in your project, but not on the document. Then your style guide and your assets. So anything that you need to pass across to them, probably any additional notes, additional comments, you can pass it across to the dev team. So you can also include this here on your Figma file. Okay, there's an image. I don't know why it's not loading. So you can also include
That's fine.
the link here. So the project overview, this is the project overview. Like I said earlier, it's just a case study I was working
Yeah.
on. So you can include the project overview and also your information architecture. It will help a lot. Always make sure you have information architecture in place or user flow, both of them, self, if possible. So always make sure they usually go back to all these things as reference. If they don't understand probably the screens, they can come to the information architecture to see the flow, to see how it is how it is organized. That's why, as a designer, you should always make sure that your design system, your design file is well organized. It is a reference for the dev team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Emphasis on organization. Make sure it is well structured. It is just a reference. So I'm going
That's nice. Yes, please go.
Okay, yes, thank you. So this is just the information architecture for this app. So this app is SwiftX. It's just a fintech platform, normal payments platform. So now they can see that okay, from the home screen, they can go to the profile, the account overview, transaction feed. This should be feed. So they can see the screens here, the layouts, the way information architecture work, all the layouts, every
Yeah.
screen here, they can see that okay, this is a payment screen. And they can see the navigation. So from the home screen, I'm able to navigate to all this section. So they already have an idea of this. So on my own part, I always walk them through the I always do the walkthrough through the information architecture first before I take them to my design file. So I make sure they understand information architecture first before I take them to the design file. So for the design file, now I'm going to take it to my design file so you can see how the layout is. So this is the splash screen. So yeah, I have my splash screen. Always make sure you are using either frames or section. So use frames and section
Okay.
as to show that okay, this is my design. Make sure it is well organized. So I am not done with all the screens, but you can see how they are all structured and arranged. Naming is
Yeah.
very, very important. So as a designer, always name your file. Make sure you are naming everything to avoid confusion. You section it, you organize it, you name it. So for every section, if you're working on the onboarding, name it onboarding. If you're working on the login, name it login. If you're working on the sign up, name it sign up. It doesn't cost a thing. It saves a lot of
To
time and it saves stress. So
I
let me,
see. I see. You have a frame. You have a section, right?
yeah.
And then you have like some other writings inside. Can you
Okay,
kind of go deeper into that? What
yes.
are some of, yeah? Why do you create your designs like that? Like the handoff assets you use there.
Okay, so let me just start with the assets. I don't know, there are actually images here.
Oh
But you
no,
know what?
not even these assets. Like I meant like on the,
Okay,
yes.
okay,
So
okay.
now you have this splash screen there. Then you have some blue stickers there.
Yes,
Can
the
you
sticky
just
note.
walk us through the idea behind that? Yeah.
Okay, okay, yes. So the next stage here is annotation. So you always make sure that you can add comments, you can use sticky paper, you can use frames to add comments. So there's an interaction here on this screen. So you can show the functionality, you can write the functionality or the feature that occurs in each section or in each screen. So on this splash screen, there's a delay here, 800 milliseconds. Then it transition into the onboarding screen. So even without showing the prototype or without showing the flow, they already understand that okay, from this screen here, there's going to be a delay. So without the user pressing or clicking, once they see the splash screen, it takes them to the next screen, which is the onboarding screen. So this is just the annotation, and you make sure that you show annotation. You can use your comments to annotate. That means you can tag the developers on this screen. Then you can type your information there, or you can also bring a sticky note, or you can use a frame, or you can get a note from anywhere to make sure you're passing the information across to them. Okay, Justin, am I too fast?
No, no.
Okay,
You're perfect.
right. Thank you. Okay, so for this part, okay, this is not ready yet. So for this part also, so you can see that okay, this is the onboarding screen. Now I'm laying much emphasis on my naming. I go as far as possible as naming each screen, even despite I've
Each of the
named,
frames
yes, each frames, even though I've named it collectively on the section and giving them a name frame. So you still go as much
yes.
as possible to name each screen. So I have onboarding screen one, onboarding screen two, onboarding screen three, onboarding screen four. Then I also have my annotation here again. Although your annotation might not come in every screen, but it should come in
Okay.
important screens where you want to pass important information.
About
One,
like an interaction or
yes, or a functionality or a
or a
feature.
functionality.
Yes.
Nice.
So you have to pass information using annotation. Yeah, you explain each screen. Even doing and when you're doing carrying your dev team along, make sure you're explaining every screen to them. Don't just assume they know. Okay, this is the onboarding. No, they everybody just wants to get their work done and that's it. So this is part of your work, carrying your dev team and your stakeholders along, dev team especially. So you show that okay, this is the first
Mhm.
screen that shows here on the onboarding. They can either log in or sign up. And if you come to this annotation, now you see that each screen here has a time delay of 800 milliseconds to the next screen. User can also use the button to navigate to either the login or the sign up screen.
For the sign up.
Yes. So you see that this is an annotation now, so they can understand what is going on here. It's just not screens. It is actually something that is going on here. So there's actually an
Yes. Yeah.
interaction here. So if you are using probably a GIF, a video here, always show it in your annotation that on each onboarding screen or on onboarding screen number one and on onboarding screen number three, there's an interaction, and go further by explaining what the interaction is doing. Is it a video?
Is
Is it a GIF? or is it an animation? Always explain it to them and take them along
It,
in your design process. Okay, you're saying something.
oh yeah, I was like, so you explain and you write all those annotation in maybe like a sticky, or on just you just need
Exactly.
to put it there for the engineers to be able to see that.
Yeah. You know that even sometimes after you have done presentation with them, some of them might tend to forget what you showed them
Yeah.
earlier. But in notes, yes, we are humans.
Yes.
Them one thing 1 minute ago, the next minute I will probably
We
forget
have
what.
forgotten. We've
Yeah,
forgotten.
exactly. But if there's a note there, it will always refresh their memory.
I agree with
Thank you. So the next thing,
you.
thank you. Now you can see that it is not all screens that have the annotation, not all
The
screens.
annotations.
Yes. So you just put it in important
Okay.
screen. You can put it in all screens or in all section. You can put it in all section, but make sure you're annotating. It is very, very important because you're communicating too. And do not forget that communication is the key to design handoff. So we have to be in sync with the dev team. So there's no back and
So
forth.
how do you communicate mostly? Are you using platforms like maybe like Slack or Teams, or how
Okay.
does that communication work? Is it like every time the engineer comes and has a question, he just asks you, or is it do you set out a period? How does that relationship? How do you handle that relationship between because just personally speaking, I feel sometimes maybe the communication might come a lot, like the questions might
Yeah.
come like every 2 minutes, which might also disturb other things you're doing. So how do you kind of manage that entire experience?
Okay. So I'm going to answer your first question. Platforms that we use in communication. You can use Slack. Some companies use Slack, some use Basecamp, some use Jira. You can even use WhatsApp. So my company use WhatsApp as a key communication, and you can also use
Okay.
Zoho. Zoho is a good communication tool. So you can create channels, different channels. There's a channel we have on my company, Dev and Design channel. So any question
Yeah.
the dev team has for the designer, they always throw it to that question. So if there's a need for us to arrange a quick meeting, there will be need to arrange a quick meeting. So at any
Mm.
point in time, if they are confused, they can ask a question there, and immediately they ask a question there, you can answer or you can reply there if there's no need for a meeting. But if there's need for a meeting, try to schedule meeting as early as possible.
To clarify it,
Clarify.
right?
Yes.
That's wonderful. I noticed here that the files you have on your Figma board, they kind of follow the architecture you laid out. Was that intentional?
Yes, it is intentional. That's why I always take them through the information architecture first. Because if they understand the information architecture, they will understand the design. Do you get?
Yes.
So if you
Yes.
see the flow
That
of the information architecture, you see the onboarding, then you saw the login and the sign up, the verification and everything. So all of my design file will fall under it the way it is on the information architecture. So
this
if
is
they
this
understand,
is lovely.
thank you. If they understand the information architecture and the user flow, they will definitely understand your
Understand this.
design. So there's no need for much back and forth. And you will see that the time frame will be short compared to when you wait to the end or when you don't even carry them along.
I know. But has there been situation whereby, despite you create all of this, let's say you just maybe there's an engineer or so who is not too familiar with Figma, right? Probably he's a new engineer, or probably he has. Oh, all the assets are back, or probably
Okay.
he's used to, let's
Yes, I
say,
think it's next to
yeah, yeah. Let's say you're with an engineer that is used to another style of handoff, right? How do you kind of like, bridge that gap? between you and this engineer? Probably the other engineer, probably in your company, they use PowerPoint and they take screenshots on PowerPoint. How do you
Yeah.
now make that transition or that coaching for the engineer to be able to adapt to the way you prepare these assets for handoff?
Okay. In that kind of scenario, when you have a new developer, it's still the same process you're going to do. You're going to walk them through the beginning from the cover image.
Okay.
But first of all, it is job of the PM to create the PRD. So as soon as the PRD is given to them, they can go through the PRD, know what the product is all about. They need to understand the product first. Because if they don't
Yeah.
understand what they're working on, there's no how they will understand the design project. So once the PRD has been passed to to the dev team and they understand, okay, this is a fintech app, they already know what to expect. Do you get?
They have an idea.
So
Yes.
that way,
Yeah.
yeah, they only have an idea. Only if it's even if it's a new niche or probably something that is not really into that's not common, probably a waste and let's say waste management app, for instance. You know that niche is not really too familiar with people. So if there's a new app or an existing platform, probably the fintech, the edutech, just make sure that they understand the PRD first. They understand what they are working on. If they understand that first, then you take them along. Start from the cover image. This is the cover image of this design file. So they're already getting familiar with it. You can walk them through the colors, through the typefaces that you're using on the project, on the platform. Then you take them back to the PRD. You walk them through the PRD that has been provided by the PRD and by the PM. So they need to
By the PM.
understand the PRD, yes, by the PM. Then you take them to the they start. User does not have account. No. User have an account. Yes, he or she proceed to creating an account. So you take
Yeah.
them through all this process in your user flow. Design decisions. Take them through it. Then you bring them into the information architecture. Now we all know that we are different people, so we all have different ways of presentation, different ways of laying things out to people. But the essence of
Yeah.
all this is to show that the dev team understand the point you're driving at. They need to understand this project because we're working for users and we don't want users to be confused because if the dev team can't understand the project, yes, exactly. If they can't understand the project, how will the user understand it? And you know
Definitely.
that yes, I know that if the dev team understand the project and they understand every interaction, every button, it will be much work
Yes.
because as they're working on it, they are testing it. They are testing it in reference to what I gave them. You understand, right?
Definitely. Definitely. Yes.
So I
Yes.
think that
Oh
it's
man.
easier for everybody.
So I want to ask you. I want to ask you if
Alright.
now, if there is a designer or people that want to get into UX, they're new to UX. What is the one advice you would give them in how to, you know, structure their career and getting into UX? What advice would you give new designers?
Okay. Getting into UI UX is not an easy thing. I know that although people are saying that the easiest way to get into tech.
I think your screen is still sharing. think
Okay.
I think you can stop sharing.
Okay, before I stop sharing, let me just
Yeah.
note this part down. Can you see my screen?
Okay. Okay. Yes, I can still see your screen. Please let's go on. I thought you were done.
Okay,
If you're
okay,
not,
no, no, no,
let's
no.
let's complete that first. We'll go back. We'll go back to the question at the end when you're done.
Alright, no problem. Thank you. So
Oh,
yes, Figma has this dev mode. So for each
yes.
section, it's easier for you to mark them for development. You can see this icon here, this code icon. So when I over on it, it
Yes.
shows mark as ready for dev. So when you are done with a project, always make sure that for every section you are done with, that you want the developers to start work on it, always make sure you're marking it ready. So I've marked it ready. So I'm going to go to the dev mode. So I'm on the dev mode now. You see that ready for development on this panel. You can see that the splash screen is shown. So if I go back to the
Yeah.
design mode, let's mark the onboarding. So we mark the onboarding. So we go back to the dev mode. This is what the developers will see. So they will see the screens that are ready for development. The splash section and the onboarding section are ready for development. So there's not even essence of wasting much time here. They already know what is ready and what is not ready for development. So it even saves time and question. So there's not even need for them to come and start asking you questions like, okay, which screen is ready and which screen is not ready. So you don't start listing out screens that are ready. Just section them. Always try to use your section on Figma. So use section, your sections can contain frame. So always show that okay, this section is ready for development, and use your prototyping. It is very, very important. Send prototyping links to your dev team and name your prototyping link. So if you're having more than one link, always name it and share it to the developers. So you can also use annotations or sorry flows or lines to show the connection between one or two flows on your design. So you can use your arrow, or you can also use a plugin, autoflow plugin. So you're able to show the interaction even without the prototyping phase. So I think that will be all, Destiny. So we can just proceed to our question.
Man, this was so insightful. I love how you break down, your designs and just make it easy to follow, especially with having that, information architecture. Just having all of that, it reduces that back and forth, like you said. It makes it easier for anyone. Like I've never seen this file before, but just looking at it, I already understand the flow and what needs to happen, which I think is super important. Which also brings me to asking the question that I asked earlier. For a new designer or someone thinking of going into UX, what is
Yes.
the one advice you would give them?
Okay. Now, people think that UI UX is just rectangles, lines, color, and one of the easiest way, exactly, one of the easiest way to come into tech is through UI UX. So, what I really advise first is what do you have passion for? That determines where you're coming into. So if you have passion for art, if you have passion for designing, if you have passion for colors, painting, then you are the design niche will be a good starting point for you. So if you have all this you have the ability to solve maths, to probably you're just a logical thinker, then I would say okay, start with probably the front end part. So you need to know your passion first. After knowing your passion, you need to know your specialty. What are you really good at? You need to know them
Nice.
first. So if you just start designing, some designers will get frustrated because you are
Because it's not something that, yeah, that
yes, it's
that
more
there
than
is.
what we are seeing. It's more than what we are seeing actually. They think it is, but the moment you enter into it, you will know that this thing is not easy.
Trust me, I can relate. I can relate to that 100%. That would be a good advice for someone getting new. Now, this next set of people, right? This is someone that's already a
Okay.
designer, but they want to get better, right? What is the one aspect you think that if they improve, it would dramatically also like make them a better designer? And what kind of advice or what would you advise someone that you're not a new person, you're already in the UX, but you want to get better? Which part, what would you advise the person to, level up, pay more attention to that will make them take that jump from just like a beginner to at least almost that intermediate
Yeah.
level kind of designer.
Yeah. Okay, what are we? And my answer to that question is learning. As a designer, you need to evolve. You need to learn. You need to see things. If you are
Hmm.
just stagnant to let's assume your normal basic UI, there's more beyond the UI that we're seeing. It's not just there are so many trends now. Learn, watch YouTube, take courses, see professional designs. Yes, see the professional design, see
Yes.
people in the field, see how they are doing things. Look at the way they did their area section. Compare. You're learning from that. So area section one, area section two, what did they do differently from what you are doing? How did they lay it out that I'm not laying mine out? So you use that to
Out that
learn.
way.
Yes, use that to learn. Watch YouTube. YouTube can be everybody. YouTube is everybody's go-to. So go to YouTube, check what is trending. You're about to say something.
Now, I was going to say, like, this video also will be on YouTube. So,
Yes, yes, exactly. Exactly. So go to YouTube. What is trending in UI? What is trending in UX? What are the UI hack? I need to know. Now always have people you look up to. Not just anybody. There are some people that they have been into the field for probably a couple of years, but they're not growing. And you will notice in their
mm,
designs. But you know that some people are growing in their designs, in their flow, their process. You see their case study, you see their designs, even the way they speak on social media. You know that okay, this person is growing. Look at their look at the way they are progressing. Use that, study that. They are learning.
mm.
And we learn every day. Nobody is perfect. So that way you'll be able to improve on yourself. And at the same time, always try to document all these processes. So, what did I learn today? Am I better than I was yesterday? Am I going to be better tomorrow? And if you're consistent with that part, trust me, that person is going to improve. Just even under 1 month, you see significant changes.
Significant changes, right? Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Okay, we've come to this part is now we're talking a little bit about this next segment is not about design. It's what we call the rapid
Okay.
question. So we're going to ask you three rapid questions, not necessarily about design,
All
and
right.
you're just going to tell us the first answer that comes to your mind, right?
All
Okay,
right.
so the very first one is, what is your favorite meal that you can have at any point of the day? What is that favorite meal that is your go-to meal for you to have at every point of the day?
Okay, my favorite meal that is my go-to. Okay. Then the question is in two ways. You said my favorite meal that is my go-to. Yes, that is my
Yes,
go-to.
that meal that at every time, yes.
Okay, let's say it like this. Okay, my favorite meal is amala and ewedu soup, but it's not a go-to. It's not a quick meal. It's not something I can just wake up now and say.
You have to
You
plan
just
it.
you have to plan it. So for the second favorite meal, let's say rice. So rice is easier. So
Okay.
rice is a go-to meal.
Okay. And the second one is, which or what is the name of a design mentor that you looked up to while you were coming up in UX, and which design mentor like you kind of looked up to or kind of influenced your UX career?
Femi John.
Femi
Femi
John, shout
John.
out to Femi John.
Yes, so he's a good guy. And I've been in his section before. The guy is good. So his explanation are top notch. So I give it to him. Thank you, Femi John.
Thank you, Femi John. Hopefully, we'll bring Femi on the show
Oh, it
one
was so nice.
sometime pretty soon. That's lovely. And the final part is, if you were to recommend one book for designers to read, what book would that be?
Okay, Refactoring UI by Adam Wharton. That book is a go-to book. So even if you have the book, go back to it again. Just try to read the book. The book helped me with my colon and hierarchy. So most time when
Hmm.
I'm in difficult moment, I can just go back to the book and read one or two lines. Then you can go back to your design.
That's super amazing. That's super amazing. Oh, funny enough, I know Femi. I know Femi John. I'll be reaching out to him. I wanted to make
Um,
sure it's the same Femi John.
section. Okay.
Yeah, I
It's the
know
same.
Femi John. We both, yeah, we were both invited by Figma for
Wow.
one of their activation stuff like that. So I know Femi. He's an awesome guy. He's an excellent
Wow.
designer.
Wow.
He's an
And you
excellent
too, I was
designer.
an excellent designer.
Oh
When you
no,
reached
no,
out
no,
to
thank
me,
you.
I also checked out your portfolio and I was amazed. Yeah, I was amazed. I saw your case studies in your portfolio and I was like, God, designers, they
Your flattery. I really appreciate it, and I thank you for coming on. We had some technical
thank
difficulties. We were able to walk through
you
them.
too.
Thank you for staying true. I believe a lot of people are going to learn from this. And once again, thank you for coming to the show. It was nice having you. I'm going to leave some of your socials and your LinkedIn in the comment section or in the description. So, guys, go and say hi, send love to her. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
contributing to the community, and we can't wait to have you back some other time.
Thank you. I would love to come back. Thank you so much.
All right. Enjoy your
Thank
day.
you.